Tonight, when the sun goes down, you are going to stare at a glowing rectangle for hours. You will not be able to stop. And here is the strange part. The reason you cannot stop has nothing to do with the app, the algorithm, or the content. It goes back much further than that. It goes back to fire. For nearly 2 million years, your ancestors gathered around flames every single night. Not just for warmth, not just for cooking. The fire was the center of social life, the boundary between safety and darkness, the one place where the tribe came together after the hunt. And according to anthropologist Polly Wiessner, whose landmark 2014 study analyzed fireside conversations among the Juhuansi people of the Kalahari, something extraordinary happened around those flames. People told stories. They shared who they were. They laughed. They processed fear. They bonded in ways that daytime conversations simply did not allow. The campfire, for most of human history, was the screen. Think about that for a moment. Your brain did not evolve for the modern world. It evolved for a world where flickering light meant safety.
There was a time when a glowing point in the darkness meant community, warmth, and belonging. Sitting quietly and gazing at something luminous in the evening wasn't laziness, it was survival. It was how your ancestors processed the day, strengthened relationships, and mentally prepared for whatever came next. Now fast forward to today. You sit down after dinner, the room grows dim, a screen in front of you begins to glow, and something deep within your nervous system, something ancient and automatic, recognizes that signal as familiar, as safe, as exactly what you are supposed to be doing right now. This is the campfire effect, and it explains far more about your behavior than you might expect. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has described how low flickering light sources in the evening trigger a specific calming response in the visual cortex. Your pupils relax. Your parasympathetic nervous system begins to activate. Your body reads the light and says, the day is over. It is time to rest, to connect, to receive. The problem is that the light coming from your phone, your laptop, or your television is not just any light. It contains far more blue spectrum wavelengths than a real fire ever did. And those blue wavelengths send a completely different message to your brain. It is still daytime. Stay alert. Do not sleep. So your ancient nervous system is being pulled in two directions at once. The glow signals rest. The wavelength signals stay awake. And you end up in this strange suspended state, relaxed enough to keep watching, yet wired enough to never quite feel satisfied. You scroll for one more minute, one more video, one more story, because the tribe is still talking, and some deep part of you does not want to leave the fire. This is not a metaphor. It is neuroscience, evolution, and design converging. Consider what Wiessner found in her study. Around campfires, 81% of conversations centered on social topics, relationships, distant people, shared experiences, and things that made people laugh. By contrast, daytime conversations were dominated by practical matters, tasks, resources, and complaints. The fire unlocked a different mode of human communication, one that was more emotionally open, more narrative, and more deeply social. When you look at what people actually do while staring at screens in the evening, the parallel is striking. You watch stories, you check in on relationships, you send messages to people who are not physically present, you laugh at videos. You process emotions you did not have time to face during the day. The content has changed. The behavior has not. Psychologist Robin Dunbar, renowned for his work on social group sizes and the evolution of language, has argued for decades that storytelling evolved as a form of social grooming. When a group becomes too large for people to maintain bonds through physical grooming, to reinforce relationships through touch, they need another mechanism. Language, narrative, and shared stories. Storytelling became the tool that held communities together across distance and time. And the campfire was where those stories came to life. Now consider this. The average person spends roughly 7 hours a day consuming screen-based content. Much of it is narrative, much of it is social, and much of it happens in the evening.
You are not drawn to your phone because you are weak. You are drawn to it because at a level far below conscious awareness, your brain recognizes it as something deeply familiar, perhaps the closest modern equivalent to one of the most important social technologies your species ever developed, simply wearing a different mask. This has real consequences, though, because there is one critical way in which screens fail to replicate the campfire. Around a real fire, the light radiated outward. Everyone faced the same source. Everyone was visible to everyone else. The social exchange was reciprocal. You could see the face of the person telling the story. You could feel the warmth of the person beside you. You could smell the smoke, hear the crackling fire, feel the cold at your back and the warmth on your face. Your entire sensory system was engaged, fully, physically present. With a screen, the experience is reversed. The light shines at you. You are not sitting in a circle. You are at the narrow end of a funnel. And the social information you receive is curated, optimized, and algorithmically arranged to keep you engaged longer, not to leave you feeling more connected. Neurologically, the bedtime scrolling ritual mimics the campfire experience just closely enough to feel satisfying while delivering something fundamentally different, like eating food that looks and smells like a meal but contains no nutrients. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania conducted a study led by Melissa Hunt in 2018, restricting participants to 30 minutes of social media use per day. Within 3 weeks, reported loneliness dropped significantly. So did depression. The less time they spent around the digital fire, the less isolated they felt. Not because the content was harmful, but because the substitution itself, replacing a sensory, embodied, reciprocal experience with a one-direction stream, was leaving something unfed? Here is the counterintuitive truth. Your craving for screens in the evening is not a flaw in your character. It is not a sign of weakness or lack of discipline. It is your nervous system correctly identifying that the fire is where the tribe gathers at night and desperately trying to find that fire with the tools available to it. The instinct is right. The mechanism is approximate. The oldest human ritual is community in the dark, shared story, reciprocal warmth. The feeling that you are not alone while the world goes quiet around you. And tonight, when the room goes dark and the screen lights up, and you feel that pull, that inexplicable sense that this is exactly what you should be doing right now, understand that you are not surrendering to a corporate algorithm. You are answering a call that is 2 million years old. The fire is still burning. You are still trying to find it. The question is no longer whether the instinct makes sense. It clearly does. The question is whether the fire you are sitting around is actually keeping you warm.